right, see it right. So I met Anthony through Steven. Steven isn't here. He had a family emergency. But I asked him, who could we get for the next meetup, and Anna was the first person that he said. So he's already in the real estate business, but he's also a contractor. But we spoke for the first time today, and I checked out his stuff on Facebook, and what I enjoy the most about him is his focus on his business. I know everybody is in the real estate business, but there's also your real estate business that you have to focus on and actually work on your business. And I see him do that. And I also heard him earlier talk about taking his company on a retreat earlier. So that focus on culture is big. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more. So I just want to introduce the whole group, everybody, Andy, Quillen. Hand clap. All right, Andy, how you doing?
All right, how's it going?
Pretty good, man. So we're gonna talk about real estate, and we're gonna talk about construction and the business. So, how did you get into the construction business, and then we'll get into real estate?
Well, we had a Hurricane Katrina that hit us. I was a young man with a pregnant wife with two little ones. I got laid off. I was making $10 an hour trying to find my way. I was about 5 years out of high school. Didn't know what I was gonna do. I had a baby out of high school, so I was still trying to find out what I was gonna do with myself. And Katrina hit. My uncle was one of those hands-on kind of guys where he knew construction, and he got laid off too. I said, well, look, I got babies to feed, so what we gonna do? And I started doing roofing. And I was in the East for a long time. I probably did probably about 60 roofs in New Orleans East. And 2007 hit, roofing was kind of falling off, and I got into to remodeling, and been doing it ever since.
Right. So, kind of walk us through that post-Katrina experience right now, because that was a lot of opportunity going on back then. So you guys went from roofing into renovations. Those were your renovations, or for clients?
It was funny. I was living over there. I was living in my little apartment, and I seen some guys. Well, me and my uncle started doing roofing, and we'd get on the roof, and we'd be on the roof. My uncle's the type of guy where you had to sit there and do everything yourself. Couldn't hire nobody, had to do it yourself. So we sit there and I've been on the roof for about 2 weeks. I'm like, man, I see these guys pull up, they're doing their roof in about 4 hours. I said, we in here for 2 weeks. I said, I'm making less than I was making before I did this. And I'm doing a roof. And I went ahead and I told him, I said, look, this ain't for me. I want to hire people, and I want to do multiple jobs and make more money, And but before we did the roofing, we were gun houses, $15 an hour. We're eating MREs in the back of the tailgate in some old gas station parking lot that was closed down. And I broke free, and I started working with these little dudes that lived by me, and it was pretty cool. It was a cool experience.
Yeah.
I was paying them, I asked them, I said, how much you getting paid? Oh, we're making $125 a day. I said, I'm gonna give you $200 a day. How much roofs can you do? 3 guys said, I'll do a roof in a day. I said, okay, well, that's gonna be $600. What if I give y'all a bonus, you knock out my roof every day? I'm gonna give you this. And I went to the East, and I would knock on doors, and people would be like, what you want? And I said, well, I want to do your roof. They're like, well, how much? And I sit there and calculate everything in my book, and as long as I made $1,000, I was happy.
Right.
So I tell people, oh, $3,600. Like, yeah, you lying, man. Everybody telling me $5,000, $6,000. I said, be here tomorrow at 3 o'clock with the cash, and I'm gonna have your roof done. And it just started like that.
Wow. So it just grew from there.
And I started telling people out there, I said, look, if you give me $100 and refer me, and man, they were just eating that up. They would, I know somebody. Next thing you know, like I said, I go down I-10, and I see all kind of houses on the service road. I was like, I did that roof, I did that roof, I did that.
Right. What was it that gave you that idea? Was it just hustle, or was it a book or anything like that? What gave you that? Because you built out a referral system and a recruitment system all at one time, and I don't think you even knew
you
was
just
doing it. So it was
family.
What was it? Okay.
Survival, hustle. I had to get it.
Right.
I was like, man, I got babies, and I lost everything. I mean, we lost everything for Katrina too. We flooded, and I said, I just wanted to get it.
Got it. So now let's fast forward to the renovation. What was that experience like?
Well, I had a couple customers, and back Katrina was hard to find people. Just like we're working in Lake Charles right now too, and it's hard to find a contractor that's going to do the work because they're busy, or shorthanded. And I had some customers tell me, said, look, man, we can't find nobody to do the work. I said, y'all mind trying it out? I said, man, we never did nothing like this before. And it was funny because we walked in the house and the guys, some of my guys never ever stepped foot in the home renovation. So we sitting there with rollers and they laughing like it's funny because they never did this before. And it took some time. I remember the first floor we put down, we put the grout down, and then we had to pick the grout up. So we came back the next day and the grout was like cement. So we had to bust all the floor up.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just learn as we go.
So you had no construction experience?
None.
Everything was self-taught?
Everything.
Gotcha. So from starting out right there, how you get to the point now for scaling up? What was that journey like?
Well, we just recently started scaling not that long ago. Over the years, the more confidence I would get, the more bigger jobs I would take on. And sometimes I would sit there and just settle. Luckily, I could handle 3 houses, 4 houses at a time. And then a friend of mine owned a business said, look, you're thinking too small. Like, you could hire people to help you, and you could grow your business instead of trying to make, trying to work on $500,000 work a year. You could do $10 million work a year. And for a while, I never registered until a few years ago.
Yeah.
And we're starting to reap the benefits now.
Yeah. So how does real estate kind of cross over into your business? Tell us about that.
I mean, it has over the past, because I worked with a lot of investors throughout my time.
Yeah.
One of my biggest come-ups was I worked with Arnold Kirschman. He has about 600 properties right now in the city, and we renovated every single property you could think of in the city.
Right.
I mean, the way he would go into a house, he would never hire an architect. He would go in there with a spray paint and just say, this is where I want walls at. And just put it wherever, and that's what we did.
Right.
And we did a lot of work for him. That taught us a lot, Taught us a lot.
Yeah. So what's kind of your niche now for as construction? So you started out in roofing, you guys moved into renovation. So if you had to pinpoint what it is, what's your specialty, what would you say it is?
We specialize in historic renovations. We could take apart pretty much any kind of house in the city and put it together. I mean, we have crews that know how to work with every single part of a historic home. I mean, I was just speaking to a gentleman outside. I just don't have the sauce for new construction. In fact, he was talking about the lots. I got a lot. I just got on the contract. Now I'm having indigestion. It's on the contract. I'm like, man, he's right. Should I keep it? But I've never had any kind of good luck with new construction, even for myself. But when it comes to a renovation, I can blow it out the water and do special stuff with it that a lot of people are like, man, how you did that?
Right.
When it comes to new construction, I just haven't really found that niche.
I mean, well, it sounds like you comfortable with being uncomfortable already. So
I've jumped in that water a couple times and it was like,
yeah.
The money, the return wasn't really for me, for new construction. But yeah, we could do some really special things with renovations.
Got it. So that's how you got into the construction business, right? So what I enjoy is your approach to business, far as like your core values, your culture, and your system. How did that come about from just the hustle to building out a corporation and scaling it up? Where did you get that approach to looking at your business as a corporation?
Well, we started learning that if we didn't have any core values, we couldn't have anything we would represent as a company, A few weeks ago, we got on the whiteboard and we were putting down like what our core values was, what's our mission, what do we stand for, what's our vision, and because we're trying to lay it out as Jason's my project manager. He runs maybe 13 jobs at a time, and it's all because of systems that we've been putting in place to be able to do more at one given time. So now what I'm trying to do is, my vision for him is we're gonna bring in like say 10 more people that's gonna work under him, and what we're gonna build is, I want him to be my $500,000 a year guy. Right. I have my core team where I believe that if you have a company, you gotta build a core team where we're all gonna eat. Yeah. I don't want them just to see me swimming. I want them to be enjoying their life too. Right. Also teaching, like everybody's gonna be taught. Whether he might be my competition, that's good. I'm always gonna support him. Right. I'm never gonna hate because I know that I'm always gonna be good. Yeah. So my biggest thing is always about teaching and elevating people so they want to stick with me and win with me.
Yeah. What led you to that train of thought?
Just being around other business-minded people.
Right.
hanging out with some people that didn't made it, and asking them and them educating me and being open-minded about it.
What's your challenge with recruiting and finding good people? How you overcoming that?
I've been finding people that have hard times, people that haven't found a break, and giving them the break.
Right.
And that's what we're gonna do. Like, we just signed a lease on a big office. It's got a big AC warehouse, and our vision and goal is to train and bring people in that, look, we can't never all of us can't go to college. So teach people like, hey, you want to be a carpenter? Well, we're gonna train you in house, and I'll teach you how to do it. Where you could charge me like a sub, or you could charge me how whatever. We'll work it out because I need people, and other people need people. So if somebody can become a carpenter and make $100 grand a year.
Yeah.
They think they mind, man. That's where I was when I was coming up. I was like, man, I'm gonna be in a Walmart greeter, man. I don't know what I'm gonna do. So, I mean, I didn't have money for college. So, Jason didn't either. I mean, the guy that I just hired, Nick, he's 40 years old. He was in a bad place, but he's a good person. Right. And I think we also opened up a water restoration business. So, he was making $15 an hour with a family. I said, well, look, I don't care what the industry pays. I'm gonna pay you $25 an hour. So his energy has been through the roof because he sees an opportunity he never would have had in the regular industry. Yeah. So I'm just trying to come up it's been working really well.
What is water restoration? What is that?
It's like your house floods, we come and clean it up, dry it out, take out all the sheetrock, and it's pretty good little business.
Yeah. How you find out about that? So you went from roofing, full renovations. So you adding on water restoration, or that was something you already?
We just started that division this year. We was in Lake Charles, and we were hearing people complaining how Serco was coming in. They were getting charged like $30,000-$40,000 to get the houses gutted. I'm like, man, for Katrina, I was charging like $1,500. I said, something ain't right. And I started learning there was more to it. Like, you had to put the fans in the house, the air movers, the dehumidifiers, dry out the house properly, and that's where really the cost comes into play. Right. So you pretty much make money off of equipment after you purchase it. So I thought it was pretty intriguing,
So as far as Serco being your competition, you only competing with them on the water restoration side? Cause yeah, I've had to hire them before. We had a unit that had a suicide. The Serco came in and cleaned that out. So you don't do suicide? Okay,
I won't mess with that. I can't deal with it. I ain't cleaning no blood or nothing like that. I'm good. They say it pays really good though. You make some.
Oh man, come on, man. So what areas you guys focus on with the construction business?
I mean anywhere. I mean we work from here to Lake Charles, so we bought a bunch of campers and wherever the opportunities are, we've just been trying to go after it.
Got it. So tell me a little bit more about your approach to the systems that you mentioned. So how you mentioned how the capacity you want Jason to be in. So I know the systems are different from 1 to 5, and then they get more complex when you go from 5 to 10 employees, and then higher and higher. So are you assigning that to somebody, or how y'all developing those systems for them to be delegated down?
We're pretty much developing as we go.
Gotcha.
And it's all about meetings and communication. So every single week we have meetings. You gotta talk about what's going on, what's not going right, what we gotta fix, what we gotta do better, what we need to implement to make it better, what problems we had that week. I think right now we're doing a Monday and a Friday meeting to close out the week. Yeah. 7:30 in the morning before we start, and we're gonna start doing some little meetings too.
Yeah. And what numbers are important in those meetings that y'all focus on?
It's really not about numbers. It's just about right now. It's about performance and productivity. Yeah. We're trying to get that up. Just trying to see where we're underperforming at, what we got to pick up at. But the biggest thing for me is really just building a team that wants to win.
Gotcha. So how does your company describe core values and why they're important to the inside of the business, and also how the public sees your construction company with those?
Well, our core values are basically it defines who we are as us as individuals and us as a company. So like, integrity, there's a whole bunch of us had a brain freeze, integrity, creativity.
Help us out, Jason. Help us out.
Integrity, creativity. I mean, it's just anything that represents you as a person. Right. If you come in a company lying, if you're a liar, you're lying to the customer, that, you know, the customer is expecting this, but you're lying on them. I mean, you can't do that. You know, you can't steal. Gotta keep the jobs clean. So whenever somebody comes to work for us, that's things that we're teaching them. This is how we operate. So when we see you out in the field and you're not carrying on the way we expect you to, then that's somebody that we don't need on our team. You know, positiveness, to be positive. Can't come to work every day being miserable, bringing the whole team down. You know, you gotta be positive. You gotta always come to mind not being negative. Negative will kill anything.
Absolutely, I agree. And the reason why I ask, because even in our business, we have core values, and the thing I like about them, once they're established, they could attract the right people, like the people that match those core values, but they'll also repel away the people that don't belong. So if you have a core value of integrity, and everybody has that buy-in of integrity, well, when you got sleazeball that want to steal materials or, you know, steal things like that, they're gonna be uncomfortable when the rest of the group, you know, don't want to do that. So I think that's awesome that y'all even do that. So how y'all maintain that culture of those core values on a day-to-day basis?
Every day we preach it into existence. You know, like if one of us is down, we don't sit there and have a meeting about that person behind their back 20 minutes later. You know, we sit there and talk to that person and lift them up.
Right.
Hey man, you had a bad week. Let me show you how you could, you know, pick up that. You know, you don't have to sit, you know, I feel a lot of people, they thrive on cutting somebody down and trying to get the most negativity you can out of somebody instead of trying to tell them what they did wrong and talk to them about how they can do better. And I feel like I'm building a team where we thrive on trying to help each other grow. You know, if we can't do that, we can't work together. Like, you know, anybody that's gonna come on my team, I already know that there's gonna be something that's gonna be that we have to work on.
Yeah.
Like if you come in a thing saying I'm gonna hire this guy and he's gonna be 100% or 1,000,000%, you fooling yourself, because that doesn't exist. Because even I fail on a weekly basis, and I want my own team members to check me on that. Like I'm not gonna be, you know, you got to be that as a person if you want to have a successful business, and be different. You know, that's why I feel like paying people a lot more than what the industry standard is, because they're gonna be giving you what you're paying for, and then the core values.
Gotcha. So you got into this construction business, everything was brand new to you, right? So, like, how have you adapted to the challenges that already come with the construction industry, period? How do you make sure your team, number one, adapts to it, as far as, for example, finding laborers, dealing with material costs? How do y'all approach the challenges that already exist in that industry?
I try not to see it as a challenge. I try to walk into it as this is what it is, and just make the best I can out of it. If I sit there and try to think of it as a challenge in any type of way, my brain starts putting up roadblocks. So I sit there and I say, okay, materials is this and this is what it is, and I have to explain to the customers, and that's how we're going. If they can't do it, then they can't do it. I'm upfront about everything. When it comes to, I mean, yeah, I just try not to think that negative. I try to be as positive as I can every day.
Yeah.
I can have a job. I'm at the point now, if I have a job where I know I'm gonna make $100 grand on it, and I lose it, I lose no sleep over it. I just think about the next one.
Yeah.
I mean, I try to, anybody negative in my life too, I just try to get it out of my life.
Yeah. So positivity must be one of y'all core values.
That's a big one.
Yeah. So what's tell us about the mistake or one of the mistakes that sting the most that you made in business? Because it sounds like you're being proactive now with building a great company. So just looking back, what's one of those mistakes that's putting you where you are right now that you're gonna always remember?
I heard a speaker one day say this not that long ago. He said a lot of times you'll make a change in your life when something bad will happen to you, so bad that you will make a change. You know, I had a bad partnership with somebody. I trusted somebody, right? Remember in 07, 08 when I was with Emile, somebody approached me that, you know, they do construction. I mean, you know, and it just ended up really bad. He stole a lot of money. It almost got me in a bad place, but because there was no proof that, you know, nothing showed it was me, all the customers said it was him, I got out of it, but it was definitely an eye-opener.
So what you learned?
You don't rob Peter to pay Paul, and you just gotta really, before you get into a partnership, you really gotta find out who that person is.
So how you recommend people do that? I think that's excellent advice, but what does that look like in real time? So if you got two people that can do it and have two separate skill sets, how do they vet each other, especially if they're strangers, don't know each other, from your experience?
It was tricky because I don't like to ever stereotype, you know, because I know where I come from.
Right.
So with him, you know, he lived in a nice house. His wife was a nurse. His daughter went to private school. That meant nothing. Come to find out, he was addicted to drugs. And I found that out by going to his house to see where all the money was when his wife told me that he wasn't even on their checking account. I'm like, well, you know we're partners. You know we're dealing with all this money. Like, why would you say something until we losing all this money? And this doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you assume. I don't know. I think you'd have to probably maybe pull a credit report or something. You know, look, man, before we get into business, I need your credit report. I need to talk to your wife real quick. Maybe your counselor, your kids. I need to know what's up. But it was a big eye opener for me. Like it was bad because it set me back a minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So your next partnership, somebody approach you, either a bigger contractor or another water restoration contractor nationwide. How you vetting?
That may be a little different because I mean, if it's a known person, you know, that's known for what they do, I'm you know, I mean, that's gonna probably be a no-brainer. But this guy, he was just somebody that just approached me. I was on the roof of his mama, and that was it. But I mean, like a big restoration company, I guess I would definitely do some research, call some people I know, see if they know of them, and get some insight.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. I know I'm gonna take it.
Definitely some insight.
Yeah. So what does the future look like?
We just trying to grow. I was focused at a lot of different places for a while. We were gonna get an office, and I was being pushed to get an office in Dallas. And somebody told me, said, "Man, New Orleans is a great market. Like, you need to just focus on the city." And we're just gonna try to focus on New Orleans right now for renovations, and we're trying to scale. Right now, I think we're pushing to be around 4 to 5 million this year. Our goal next year is 10 million, if God allows. But you know, we're just gonna roll with it.
That's perfect. And that's 5 million, 10 million. What?
Oh, that's sales.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
All right.
I hope it's revenue, but not yet. Not yet.
Yeah, that's perfect, man. So when you good, you get a bunch of opportunities, like partnerships and more business. So how you guys approach vetting those opportunities too, to say yes or no, we gonna add this on our plate, or no, we won't.
What I've been looking at lately is gonna be what's gonna be my return for my time. So like when I do a new construction, I know that's not my niche. I'm just not gonna mess with it no more. I'm starting to pull away from things that are just, if I'm gonna implement my time on a daily basis, I have to know that I'm gonna make the most out of it. So I know that remodeling and water restoration is my biggest rate of return for my time and my team's time. So, I mean, Jason will tell me, hey man, let's not touch that. We're not gonna really do good on that, let's stay away. So now we've just been focusing on what we need to focus on that's gonna make us the most money.
Right. And that's the same thing with proximity. So if a water restoration job pop up and it's too far out of the area, you still gonna vet it the same way?
Depends, because water restoration is a nice little. What I like about water restoration is you don't have to be competing for bids. You know, you show up, the damage is there, you do your work, and they just pay you what they pay you.
Right.
So I have to sit there and go through the process of bidding it, hoping I get the job. You know, then the process, you know, we might do a job for 4 or 5 days and make more than on a project that took us 3 months. So that's just a part of, you know, what I said a minute ago, is trying to compress on what makes us the best opportunities.
Gotcha. What's sound like y'all rocking and rolling right now, so that's good. So
We're trying.
Yeah.
I'm always, every day when I wake up, I'm just so hard on myself. I find somebody all the time, you're doing great. I'm like, man, shut up. Put that in my mind. Like, I don't want to know what I'm doing. Every day I get up like it's back in 05.
Right. So what's a bottleneck challenge right now in the business that you guys are trying to overcome to get to that next level?
Well, the water restoration, because we don't have organic leads coming in like the renovations, we're trying to create those leads. So it was me trying to find somebody that could do my Google ads the correct way. Yeah. And I found a guy, if anybody's ever looking for somebody like that, but he actually works hand in hand with Drew Brees and his businesses. Okay. And he kind of fell in my lap, and we'll see. I mean, we got our first week going, and everything's being tweaked and all that, so we'll see what kind of jobs he pulls in.
Gotcha. I want to add a suggestion on that. So we use Upwork.com, and they have growth hackers or growth marketers, and they know how to do those Facebook and Google ads also. So if you don't work out, you can always post a job on Upwork, and Upwork is kind of like eBay for labor with virtual assistants, and they'll bid on that job. You got to vet them. And they also put like the feedback from their previous jobs and things like that. So that's another option. So if this dude don't work out, post that job on Upwork, and you can interview as many people as you want to, and just test them out, give them a 3-month run, and see how much business they generate. So that's another option.
Okay,
yeah, look out for that. Yeah, and I'll text it to you after that. But definitely, lead generation, I think that's everybody's challenge right now. For as investors, we want more deals. And the contractors, need more leads. So try that out. That could definitely help you out. So
that was a big challenge for us when I started that business, because I had to invest in a truck, a person, equipment. Yeah. I'm like, man, where do we get the work from? And so that's been the only thing I've been kind of my negative thought.
Right. Fellas, so what do you think the value is in having? You mentioned being around those business-minded people caused you to build your construction company as a business to scale it up. What else is the value of having those type of people around you?
Just opens your mind. Mm-hmm. Like, my mind was so closed-minded. Like, I was around my friends that had these great jobs, and I'm like, all I would hear around the fire was like, man, I got my 401k, and I never had that. I worked for myself. Right. And I said, how am I ever going to get to the day where I can say, okay, I can retire, then worry about my Social Security? And that's when my buddy opened my mind, because I was like, he's like, bro, just scale. So we mean scale. Just do more work. What do you mean do more work? He's like, are you serious? And so I'm sitting there now, started turning my wheels, and then it's like, man, it's simple math. If you're doing $1 million now and your company's turning 30% on $1 million, you make around $300,000 minus expenses. He said, well, if you do $5 million, you put the math to that. I said, if you have your staff and everybody under, they're gonna make their pay, and you still make more money. So the goal's been just to scale and see where it goes from there. But it's opened being around those folks has opened me to get to that level. Right. Before I was just settling.
Gotcha. So what makes you accountable to actually execute? So it's good to chop it up around the fire and then go home and feel bubbly about it, but that Monday morning, what push you to actually execute and make it happen?
Challenge. I've always been a person where if I see something and I dream on it and I want it, I go for it. Right. I just don't. I leave them excuses behind me. Gotcha. So now that's in my mind, the little man behind my back of my head saying, you ain't gonna get to 30 million. And the big guy in front of me saying, watch me, like it's coming, like I'm gonna get my 30 million a year, like, and we well to it. I mean, it's just all about getting them hungry folks to work with me that want to make money they never thought they could make on, Yeah. Get the team put together. That's all. And that's what I tell a lot of people too, because a lot of people try to be the number. They just try to do it by themselves. It's like, it's good if you want to do it that way, but if you want to hire folks to help you, it's amazing how much it helps you out. Jason does so much for me. It's like, and before I was like, man, I gotta take this pay to pay this, and I got now an office manager, and I gotta pay her. But if you're doing 10 more jobs, there's nothing to it.
Right. So what's kind of your human resource process right now? So you told us the type of people that you like and the type of people you attract. So what does it look like? What does the hiring process look like for them to even make it through the funnel to get a shirt and start working?
You just gotta sit down and talk first.
Yeah.
I don't really have any kind of. I think anybody is capable of coming to work with us. It's just I gotta talk. It's the energy. Right. It's the energy. I don't care if somebody never did it in their life. If they got the energy for it and the core values, then we could help. I worked with Jason for 2 years. He didn't know nothing about project management, and he knows stuff like the back of his hand now. Yeah. A lot of companies, they want to hire somebody that's experienced, but a lot of times you get a lot more for somebody that never did it before. Yeah. So they can wear the shirt I just gotta hear the energy and the positiveness. Right. And then we can get it. Gotcha.
So tell us a story about when you've been burnt by somebody that hit you with the bait and switch. Had a good interview, and then that first week, it wasn't who they thought it was.
I never really had it like that. I had somebody that worked for me for about 2 or 3 years.
Oh wow.
You know, but not,
Yeah.
not the instant, you know, it came out after a while.
Uh-huh.
You know, but then once you done taught them and they stuck with you, it's like you keep on trying to work with them, and it's just that they don't listen. They don't. And it's sad because when me and him were working together, I was, you know, small contractor, and I used to tell him all the time, I said, look, man, listen to me. Like, just do this, do that, and he just kept going back to his old ways and couldn't get out of the funk.
And he got rid of it.
He got rid of himself.
Yeah.
Just he took care of that for himself, you know.
Yeah.
But other than that, everybody that works with me for about 15 years, other than Jason, I mean, he just came on fresh.
Uh-huh.
But everybody pretty much stays on with us, folks. I mean, because the way we take care of them and treat them.
Yeah. That's good, man. We're gonna take a few minutes for questions. Anybody have any questions?
Right, so you say you got your man on 2 years fresh, you already know much. So that's one of my biggest challenges. I'm on that show pretty much, and I want to hire somebody. And I have somebody I can bring on that don't really know much about much. But my main thing is, how do you teach him to do that? How do you train him to be able to be you in so many ways, you know, to be able to be where he's at now within the short span.
He just rode with me every day. Every time I go see a job, when we walk in a job, I'm showing him every step. Hey, this is what you gotta look for. You know, that baseball right there, it's got too big of a gap. We're not gonna cover that with caulk. Or you see that tape line on that sheetrock, that ain't good work. You know, and over time, after seeing a third, fourth job, he just started, you know, memorizing these things and knowing that, hey, what to look for. But at the beginning, I mean, he just had an adjusted pay that basically he was like kind of like my assistant. And after like 6 months, he kind of could have just took jobs on by himself. But I mean, it took time. A lot of times if you hire somebody that's been doing it for a while, they're gonna have do it this way, or I know how, that don't look that bad. But if you want to train somebody to do it the way you want to do it and be a second you, it's gotta be somebody fresh.
So do you do your own estimate, or do you use estimate for you?
He actually helps me estimate too. So the deal that I do with him is I give him a percentage. So instead of doing hourly salary and all that, like whatever the company does, he gets a straight percentage of it. So if the company's doing great and he's running so many jobs, his pay just keeps doing this. So if we hire people under him, then the people under him, they're gonna get a salary, say whatever, 800 a week, whatever, 1,000 a week. But then whatever the percentage is minimum, he'll get the rest of the percentage. So instead of, just say for instance, his percentage is 30%, after I take out that next employee's pay, he might get now 20% off that person. But that's gonna, you know, want him to elevate.
That's when you deal with Trent, though, what we just talking about, you know exactly what you make, which is another issue. Like you said, we don't know exactly what we make. We got a good idea what we make on a job, but if we have to say exactly what we made, like.
Builder trying to break it down to you to the T. So if you're doing a remodel on a house and you know your profit gonna be 50,000, that builder trend's gonna show it right there on the paper.
And Buildertrend is the software, right?
Yeah. It's only $300 a month. I feel like for $300 a month, that's like having like another assistant that's full time that's working for you. $300 to simplify and streamline all your business.
What else can Buildertrend do for you? Because builders and investors could use Buildertrend too to track their jobs. Also,
Scheduling.
Right?
Well, it does scheduling mostly. All our estimates. We could take payments. Invoicing. And the customer, it's so easy because like if a customer says, hey, what I got left on my invoice, or just go check they got their own login. They can see what they already paid us and what they have
portal, like a client portal. Okay.
Pictures. It shows the weather. So the client tries to say, oh, what's taking so long? Well, go in the portal. You'll see we had 15 rain days, and it shows it all in the portal.
And that's updated live.
Yeah.
Oh,
Every day is live weather on there.
Cool.
And everybody can see that, right? The customer and the customer go in. Yeah.
So you track your subs through that also?
Yeah, you could actually give yourself logins where they can go in there and you can also assign them stuff. So say you want to assign saying, I need you to go rough in this job next week, you could put it in there and they gotta go in there and check it instead of you having to communicate it. Tell people, look, if you're gonna work for me, you gotta go into the system. This is how you're gonna work with me. It runs through the system.
How long it took you to get that software now with that?
Well, me and him, the bare bones, it should take you a couple weeks. It's pretty easy to navigate. They got a lot of good training videos. The people are so helpful.
A lot of our builders use it. We did jobs through It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
If y'all ever met him, that's David with Raiders Installation. He does all that installation. Awesome installation company. If you try to call him and you want something done, they do it in 24 hours. They're there. So
Yeah, one more question, James?
Yeah, historic renovations can bite you in the ass, with a lot of unknowns. What's been one of your most challenging projects on historic renovation?
what is the unknowns that you?
Rot that you didn't know was there, just, bricks that are crumbling behind the wall, I mean, you name it.
If you're doing a renovation that's a complete gut, I always tell the customer straight up, you're gonna have to allocate some sort of contingency plan just in case. I don't ever try to go, if we gut the house and there's $5,000 worth of termite damage, I mean, we really can't control that. But a lot of times, if it's a house that we're not completely gutting, I kind of just do my walkthrough, my process. For instance, a lot of houses in New Orleans historic renovation just don't know what's under the floors. You could take up that vinyl or whatever, and it's beautiful floors, and you just sand that down polyurethane, and you're good to go. Sometimes you take it up and it's destroyed. So sometimes we'll just allocate. We'll go over that with the customer and say, look, what are you comfortable with? You want to do a $10 square foot budget for labor materials? You want to do a $5 square foot budget labor materials? And they'll ask me what all that'll entail, and then we'll finalize it. And if we gut it all and the floors are beautiful, they only pay what they have to pay for whatever has to get done. So I try to pinpoint all the possible obstacles beforehand. So I just don't like drama. I like putting it all out there firsthand. This is what I see. This is what I think it could be. Some folks accept it. Some people think I'm crazy. And they go, it just depends on what they want to believe too.
Yeah. Answer your question?
Pretty much. So I've worked in historic renovation. What's your biggest project that you've done? It's all residential, right? Okay.
Probably the project in City Park was about $500,000. It was a double. It was about 2,000 square foot aside, complete gut.
Oh, yeah.
So it was pretty cool. A customer that just didn't care what they were spending. Like, I want a hallway here, but I don't want my bedroom just to be 9 foot, so now I want you to do an extension on a second floor that might cost me $30,000 inside, because I want my room to be a foot bigger or something, so it was a good project.
Yeah, I run into problems in the historical area. I'd rather pay more to someone that's mastered the area, because the guy I had was confident in other area, but it was added cost to me because he didn't know, how the windows on the side don't have to be the certain grade, but he was putting all the windows, so I'm taking that cost. I come to find out, they're like, because I have houses right there, they don't have to be up to the historical code, so I'm eating that. So I'd rather pay more to somebody that knows, because then I'm gonna end up paying more in the back end to somebody that didn't know.
It's actually a lot cheaper just to throw them new ropes and pulleys and weights and use the old windows.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question.
Yeah.
Is if you had a window restoration.
Yeah, my guy.
I mean, money right
They're hard to find, they're expensive too.
Yeah, I think my guy charged me like $135 a window. I'll take the casing out, re-spool it, put the weights in, the ropes.
Alright, we gotta talk, I got some issues.
And the painter takes care of the other part, when he reglazes and all that, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
But you could take an old house, like I got a house right now on balance, I'm quoting somebody, and Jason, how big a house on balance is, like 20-something hundred square foot? The first thing he hit me was, I wanna do it for 150. I said, everybody's number's 100 or 150. I said, let me put the numbers together and figure it out. So I sent him the bid, I think it was like 130 or something, and he wants to talk, but I left out certain things that just ain't gonna be feasible for his budget. But the biggest thing with historic renovations, if you could save the plaster, you could save that trim, you could save them doors and not take them out and fix what's there and paint what's there, you could do magic. You got a good electrician that don't mind working with plaster walls, it's not gonna kill you. A good plumber that's gonna run the water lines and not play around with you on, I got a plumber, he'll do a whole house for me for like $3,000 on new water lines and just run them through the walls. But then my electrician, he's the one that wanna get me, so. Historic renovations, because we did so much, we worked with an investor, he pounded in my head, he's like, we ain't doing that, we ain't doing this. I'm like, okay, and he kind of showed us the way, and we did beautiful products where he always told me, so we're not here to put lipstick on a pig, okay? We're gonna make it good. And actually, he did is it Louisa? In a Bywater, there's an apartment complex right by the clubhouse. I think it was like a 30-some unit apartment complex. I did that one with him too. And that was a pretty cool deal too, because it was in a historic neighborhood, and we had to do all the old windows and come up with cool ways to run AC units and stuff. But yeah, he taught us a lot.
You don't hear too many contractors who enjoy doing that.
It's a challenge, you know. I like the challenge. I love going to some old houses, and I mean, he bought a lot of, like in the Bywater you was mentioning earlier, like, you know, this is 2012. He bought houses on Quillen on the riverside, you know, for $40,000, and you know, put 130 in there with me, and then they're worth like $450, $500 right now, maybe even $600,000.
Yeah.
He was just sitting there, just in 2012, 2013, he was wiping them out.
We all should have back then.
That was some good old days. I was in the front seat with that one. I was like, man, what I could have did if I would have had his money.
Yeah, well, we know now. Any other questions?
Have you ever heard of like SOPs, kind of operating procedures?
Mhm.
Because I was just wondering when you was actually training somebody, like in the mastermind I was at, like they was really harping down on that, and I was wondering if you have those aside from the building training. Do you have those that kind of help teaching and like bringing up like the new people you bring up?
Yeah, we actually just had Nick, which runs my water restoration company, before we blast off. He actually just wrote all his procedures and processes.
You just wrote it out.
Wrote it out, and I'm gonna type it up because he's gonna be running that division. So I mean, I kind of went over it, critiqued it, but yeah, you're definitely gonna have standard operating procedures and all that, because if you hire people, you can't just have them running out and doing whatever. That causes problems. You gotta look. This is what you're gonna do. This is how we want you to do it. Now, if you could bring anything to the table that implements anything, you gotta be open for that. Because you know, if you don't listen to other folks, that's also gonna hurt you too. They got a lot of companies that come in their mindset, well, I'm the owner, I'm the only one that can make decisions. No, they got people that you hired to help you grow for a reason. It's not to sit there, you know, you gotta grow off of folks, not just yourself.
Yeah. How you drive accountability on that? So it's cool to establish those SOPs and say this is how we supposed to do it, especially if people have to run that division itself. So from an owner perspective, how you stay on top of making sure that he's driving accountability and making sure that SOPs are actually being adhered to, because you know that first hire you could read it or not read it and not do it, and then when you walk on a job it could be totally opposite.
The
SOP.
The Monday morning 7:30 meeting, the Friday 7:30 meeting, like the catch up, like what'd you do, also the walkthroughs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we all check ourselves on Monday morning.
Yeah.
7:30. Hey, did you do this? Oh no. Oh, you didn't follow procedure. You know, we got it. And then if there's things that we didn't do on Monday, we follow on Tuesday. On Monday afternoon, we follow back up about it.
Right.
I feel like staying on top of those issues helps clear out those issues a lot faster than just, oh, okay, we'll get it. And then next week, 2 weeks later, we all forget and it happens again.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just driving that, saying this is how we're going to do it, this is how we're going to ride, this is what we're going to do. We're not going to keep going back and forth because it just causes problems. And problems is that takes away from your time making money.
Yeah. So you're saying making sure you recruit, hire good people, consistent communication, disciplined meetings, and driving those SOPs. That's what's making the company consistent and successful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean that's a cheat sheet for a lot of us. Right?
In the midst of you doing the construction, are you still trying to do private investment also? Or are you kind of focused more so on the construction side right now because it's generating?
I'm one of them bad people. Now, negativity, I'm guilty. But he said it, you know, I was one of the people who said, oh man, the market's not good right now. Because I've been involved in the market when it was so beautiful. Now it's like, I feel like there's so many folks that are looking for a deal. And I was trying to get deals, but every time I go get a deal, oh, I have 10 offers on the table. Or talk to a wholesaler, oh, I already sold that one. So I kind of threw my hands up and said, okay, I'm not going to focus on that right now, I'm going to wait. And then actually Steven's been on me about coming. I said, well, and I told Jason, because Jason, what I want to do with my core group and my company is I feel like, you know what, we got the assets with the business, let's invest together as a group. Because, you know, if we build something special together, it'll be cool to do some investments together.
Right.
And utilize the builder trend, you know, utilize all our resources as a group.
Mhm.
So I do wanna get back into it though. I have been out of it for a while. I got a lot in Arabic right now that I just put on the contract, and he had me thinking like, oh man, should I call my agent, tell him don't sell that lot, cause.
Let me see if that's the one I put off on.
So, I mean, cause I had built a house in Arabi about a year or two ago, we only made like maybe 15 or 20,000, I could do a renovation in 4 months to make that, and I was taking a lot of my resources from my business that's making us money to work on that house, and it was just pulling away from my money, and then it was just, it was in a neighborhood in Arabi where like, you got these folks that put an offer, oh, I want a fence, oh, you need to put gutters up, oh, I said, damn, you want me to get your horse too at the stable? And I just don't have, like, I get aggravated with all that, like, you already built a beautiful house, like, you know, so I love to get back into it though, because we have the resources, you know. Just hasn't really been the things that you spoke about, I mean, look, I was like, wow, like, I wanna do that one day, you know, like, I just never really found that niche.
Yeah, make sure you network with the wholesalers here. Stephen already a great person to know. Make sure you get added on ours also. So how can we help you close your gap versus current state, future state, where you are now versus where you want to be? How can we help?
We want to grow as investors. You know, we came here tonight because I wanted to share whatever I could share. Jason wants to get into investing, so do I. So I mean, I'm here like any resource for construction. Anybody, you know, you're looking for a certain sub, you're looking for somebody that can help y'all out one of your projects. Look, I don't need to make no money on it. I'm like you said, give back. I like to give and give back. I think karma comes around pretty good. I'm willing to help however I can help. You know, we want to get into investing, so we want to learn.
Gotcha.
I mean, I have not had any luck on me doing deals, so I want to, you know, that's something I want to learn.
You had a good, we had a conversation earlier today. You had a good idea, a great suggestion on how investors should approach their renovations. You want to talk a little bit about that investor director sub relationship?
Yeah, I mean, if you got a couple houses, I mean, a lot of times, I mean, if a contractor's gonna work with an investor, some deals are great. You know, a lot of deals is not great for a contractor. And a lot of times, if you got a contractor that's been in the business for a while, that has a seasoned crew, they're gonna wanna make a certain amount of money. So a lot of times you'll get a young guy that just get into it, that's hungry, he's gonna overpromise and underdeliver because he just doesn't know any better. So I'm saying is like, my thoughts are like on some of those deals is build up a folder of subs, a drywall guy, a drywall company, insulator, a painter, people that you can call on a whim if you need that and save a bunch of money so make your deal work. I mean, it's just as hard as calling a contractor. I mean, I'm a contractor, I'm just saying, like, if you call a drywall guy, say, hey, I got that house on 5th Street that I need 2 patches done, more than likely that drywall paints too, so you can go there, fix your drywall, paint, and you're done.
Yeah.
And you have to deal with calling a contractor, which a contractor probably wanna mess with something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or insulator like David back there, or whatever. You need a driveway, call a concrete guy. But you always gotta tell people, don't say, hey, I'm Joe Blow, because they're gonna price you like Joe Blow. You gotta tell them, hey, I'm an investor, I do a ton of work, I'm looking for somebody to put in my network, now they're gonna give you a good price.
Yeah. And how would you vet subs to see if they're good subs or not? Now, I'm talking as an investor right now, because the contract work, I don't know nothing about. So that's probably why we want to partner, work with a GC. But what you suggesting, I think, is good. So like for us example, we'll buy it wholesale, clean it out, and put it back on the market. And I would not touch nothing else because I don't want to call nobody, and I don't even know how to quality check their work. So I would even vet subs to where we know that we got quality people doing that work to call them out.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Social media.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows somebody these days.
Yeah.
That's kind of why I've been kind of shifting around, because everybody knows somebody. So a lot of work that we used to go after, a lot of those folks already get me on subs to do the work.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, social media, you just go online right now. I bet if I go online right now and ask, hey, anybody know a painter? I'll get like 5 people. Oh, I know this painter, I know that painter. And it's people that already use those folks, so they're gonna be able to tell you whether they're legit or not.
Right. You also had an idea of putting together kind of a group of subs and contractors, kind of like this group, that could just meet together, exchange information, and have like a core power group of contractors. So tell me a little bit more about that vision, and if that's something that y'all wanna see happen too, we can see how we can put that together, also. What was your vision for that?
I mean, just get a bunch of subs and folks that are in the business together and just like this, and they all talk about, what they need help in, what they need more of. Because I may have 3 people that might be able to help somebody else out, and that person might have 1 person that might be able to help me out. We're all trying to make money,
Right.
so I feel like why not help each other out? I mean,
Yeah.
and also we're gonna start with our new warehouse. We got an AC warehouse, so we're gonna start doing a lot of in-house training and start. I always had a vision of helping people. And I feel like there's a lot of young adults that they don't understand all the opportunities that's out there for them. They only think that's either high school or college. So a lot of folks don't know that they can go, like I said earlier, be a carpenter, be a drywall, install tile. So I done talked to all my main subs, and they willing on their own time go to the warehouse and train people on the weekend. I mean, I've seen guys turn into tile guys within 2 weeks and doing phenomenal work, making big money. So if they got a young adult that is like, man, I'm stuck, can't find, well, let me show you how you, and then if you start doing tile work, you can start being a tile contractor. Now you could train people to work for you, and I could train them how to open up their own little tile business. And in return, it might help me because I may need to work for me one day.
Yourself, right?
So that's one thing we talk about, is doing a lot of in-house training to build up some crews ourselves, and then put them out in the world, and in return, maybe they can work for us or help other people out.
Yeah, I love it, man. Well, we're gonna get back to networking, everybody, and it. Oh, one more chord.
How many different subs you have for each sub? Like,
Usually about 2 or 3 for each spectrum. Because I try to not waste that much time for folks. Like, if I get an electrician to bid something for me, I don't want to see that he bids 6 things and then get 1. So I try to keep it where they all eat as much as possible, so they don't feel like, man, forget that dude, I don't want to bid out your work no more.
that's another issue too. We kind of get comfortable with the same set of subs, and they start getting slacking a little bit because they know you got the next job, the next job. Yeah, they got one that he was gonna start the job, and he was saying, I ain't seen him start the job yet. Like, just knew you had a job, again, it do give us the right numbers, but sometimes they can fall off a little bit.
And then we get comfortable because we already know what they're capable of doing, and they're not gonna, leave you with a shower failure or something that's gonna end up costing you a lot of money, or whatever, whatever they're doing.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Anna, man. We appreciate the time.